Hello everyone, thank you for taking the time to watch this video on the RIDE 2045 Long Range Plan's third round of public engagement. This is the same pre-recorded presentation that we are using for our public and stakeholder engagement sessions. We will provide instructions on how you can ask your questions or provide comments at the end of this presentation. My name is Mitch. I work with the consulting firm Left Turn Right Turn, and we are helping the RIDE to create this long-range plan for transit in the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area. We started this project over a year ago, and we've come a long way. Today we will start by refreshing you about the planning process. Then we'll go over what we heard from the public when we shared our ideas with you in the fall. Next, we'll get into the details of the draft plan itself, like what the network will look like, and what other features are being explored and when these enhancements will happen. It's important to note that we always tie the final plan back to our goals, so we will summarize the plan with some key ways to measure that success. Ultimately, we rely on feedback from the public, customers, staff, and elected officials and other stakeholders to finalize our plan for the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area. The RIDE 2045 is a long-range plan for the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area. It considers the transit network, including our bus routes and their frequency, new and better types of transit, and new types of services, infrastructure, technology, and vehicles. Check out our website at TheRide.org to learn more about the work that we've done to date and how we got to where we are today. This plan has been developed with a few specific goals in mind, which very much mirror many municipal goals. By the year 2045, or over the next 20 or so years, the RIDE believes this plan will help to increase social equity by improving access to jobs, education, and housing, help the environment by reducing air pollution, and support existing and attracting new businesses. These goals were established based on what we heard from the community, stakeholders, our board, and of course, our customers. The goals are important in guiding how decisions are going to be made and the outcomes that we hope to achieve. Remember, this plan will benefit everyone, not just people who are already customers today. The development of the RIDE 2045 long-range plan takes place over 4 phases. The first was guidance. Here, we developed a strategy, including the goals, principles, and methodology to guide our decisions along the way. We considered the feedback from the public, our board, and stakeholders. We also established the Public Advisory Group, 12 individuals with different backgrounds to make sure that diverse perspectives are always considered. The next phase was analysis. We looked at how the RIDE currently operates and what is working and what can be improved. Then we considered the future, how our community is expected to change in terms of population, demographics, and employment over the next 25 years. We also looked at other plans from municipalities and peer agencies as well as changing technologies. In the third phase, we created 4 potential scenarios based on different levels of funding. Last fall, we took these scenarios to the public and stakeholders to listen to what you had to say. More details about what we heard are available on our website, theride.org. We are just getting to the last phase, finalization. Based on what we learned from the third phase, we have narrowed in on a single draft plan for transit in the area. We have developed an achievable roadmap that lays out the steps over the next 25 years to build the future transit system that works towards meeting our goals of increasing social equity and improving access to jobs, education, and housing, helping the environment reduce air pollution, and supporting existing and attracting new businesses. Now is the time to tell us what you think about this draft plan to enhance transit in our community. There will be a chance to comment at the end of the presentation. Now let's talk about what we heard from previous engagements and how that guides us now. In the fall of 2021, we engaged with about 1,400 people through surveys, online public meetings, in-person public events, stakeholder meetings, direct email, and social media. We spoke to the Public Advisory Group before engagement and again afterward. The full What We Heard report has more details and can be found on our website. Today, let's focus on the big themes that come out of that engagement and how that engagement drives our planning. Last fall, we presented 4 scenarios based on different levels of funding, and people were asked to choose their favorite. The first scenario was to keep things about the same as they are now with minimal new investment. The second was a minor enhancement that just kept up with the projected growth in population and employment. The third scenario was a modest enhancement with larger investments with new and better services. The fourth scenario involved making the largest investments to really transform the transportation landscape in the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area. What we heard was that 72% of our survey respondents told us they preferred scenario 4. The resounding response that we heard at our meetings and through our survey was not a desire just for small improvements to the same system, but for a deep transformational change. By greatly improving transit, we can fundamentally change the way that everyone, not just current customers, gets around our area. That means less car usage, more equitable access to jobs, housing, and education, and a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. These improvements do have a cost, but most of the people we heard from indicated that they are willing to pay for those investments if the benefits are clear. We heard a broad desire for convenience, reliability, and dependability. Transit that is readily available at all times to get people where they want to go. This means an extensive, high-frequency network with many routes operating at 15 minutes or better service. It means better off-peak service and faster travel times on key routes using bus rapid transit, priority, and express routes. Better and faster connections across the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area, as well as to regional destinations, whether you are traveling downtown or not. We also heard concerns that we need to consider when making transit better. Any plan we make needs to be collaborative and work together with the universities, municipalities, and the regional transit authority. We must also keep costs in mind and be as efficient as possible with our spending so that people affected by our property taxes will see the benefits of their investments. And of course, we need to make sure that our plan is feasible, especially on busy and constrained roadways. Again, you can see the whole What We Heard report and the last round of public engagement materials on the project website at TheRide.org. Okay, now it's time to dive into the details of the plan itself. The feedback we received last fall was pivotal for building our final plan. As we shared earlier, Scenario 4 was the clear preference, so we used that as a base. To help manage costs, we made several small reductions in the total service hours and replaced some of the dedicated bus lanes with other transit priority features. We are also improving off-peak service in the near term because we heard that's very important. We have optimized the network design to minimize overall travel times everywhere. And for the service that we plan to build, we are prioritizing areas with lower access to housing, education, employment, and healthcare. Just before we get into the network map, let's take a look at some of the enhanced services that we propose. Firstly, express routes are essentially an express bus service with limited stops that get you quickly from point A to point B. Priority service means a conventional bus that operates on a route that is somewhat enhanced by transit priority features, like queue jump lanes and signal priority to help them compete with traffic. It will have fewer stops than a regular bus route. Bus Rapid Transit Lite is very similar to full-scale Bus Rapid Transit. It uses the same large vehicles but does not operate on a fully dedicated lane. Instead, it uses transit priority to skip the congested intersections for a more reliable service. Full Bus Rapid Transit uses a large vehicle operating in a fully separated lane so that it never has to compete with traffic. Fare payment can happen before boarding, so the bus can spend less time at stops. This network map is how we imagine the ride could look in 2045. It's a transformational change of our current transit system. All of the routes have been selected to optimize travel times, which ensures that areas with low access to opportunities today have access to high-frequency transit in the future. We have two full-scale bus rapid transit lines, shown in red, forming the backbone of our system. They will be a combination of full Bus Rapid Transit and Bus Rapid Transit Lite, sometimes operating in fully dedicated lanes, creating east-west and north-south connections. Other main routes are served by priority and express services, shown in dark blue, which have transit priority features and fewer stops to make trips faster. We have an extensive high-frequency network, shown in light blue, that stretches across the Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti area, creating better, faster, and reliable connections to get you where you need to go anywhere in the service area. Waiting and transferring will be improved everywhere, especially at the busiest locations, with upgrades to our existing facilities and new, smaller transit hubs. Let's take a look at the features of this plan and explore a few other key elements. Firstly, we are providing more off-peak service, which helps people who rely on transit for all their transportation and need it the most. This includes essential and low-wage workers, women, youth, students, and the elderly. And as service improves across the entire area, we will focus on improving service for the places that need it most. We've built accessibility into this plan at every level, including our vehicles, bus stops, and transit hubs, fare payment, and information systems. As the whole system is transformed, we are able to ensure better integration and coordinated planning between all of our services. This includes opportunities to integrate fixed route services with TheRide. We are planning to modernize our fare collection and trip planning systems. We also plan to diversify our fleet to make sure that we use the right vehicle for the right service. That will improve the vehicle productivity and efficiency. There will always be external factors beyond our control, and that is why we are planning to expand partnerships with external stakeholders like municipalities, the Regional Transit Authority, universities, and community groups. Some of these collaborations can help us with the first and last mile solutions. That means getting to and from the bus. Every stop and station may require a different solution, whether it means on-demand services, bike sharing, scooter sharing, or better sidewalks and snow clearing at stops. This will make it easier for everyone to use our improved high-frequency network. And finally, we will explore mixed-use real estate at our new transit hubs and centers, combining transit with work, shopping, and housing. How we connect to the larger regions surrounding our service area is also critical to our long-term success. While the particulars of those connections depend on partnerships and outside funding, we have identified some key elements to work toward. On the map in the light green shows the general areas where we can add more park and ride lots connected to our service with express buses, shown in dark blue. This will help to draw riders in from a broader area and providing regional connections all around our normal service area. All of these elements will help better connect our community to our neighbors like Detroit, Brighton, and Western Wayne County, and help people coming to work, shop, or just visit the Ann Arbor-Ypsilanti area. Now let's stop again and reflect on how these changes will help us reach our goals. Our goals again are increasing social equity by improving access to jobs, education, and housing, helping the environment and reducing air pollution, and supporting existing and attracting new businesses. The changes that we are recommending ensure a more frequent, efficient, reliable, convenient, and on average 39% faster service. And that addresses our goals by doubling service across the network with an emphasis on areas with low access to opportunities, reducing transportation emissions by 7 to 11% in the area with the use of zero-emission buses, and reducing 6.9 million annual car trips, and providing high-frequency service near 97% of jobs. Now, these improvements will not happen all at once. Let's take a look at when these changes will happen over the next 25 years. Let's start with what can be done in the short term. This is when we set the plan in motion. Between the years 2023 to 2028, our focus will be on the service improvements that require less infrastructure to increase equity and grow ridership. That includes a pilot express route on Washtenaw Ave and a minimum 30-minute frequency on all routes during the daytime, including weekends. The major capital projects that will be undertaken in this phase is the upgrading of the Ypsilanti Transit Center and the Blake Transit Center. What we heard from the feedback we received was that people who are most dependent on transit need it at all times of day. So we are focusing on service improvements in this stage on providing earlier and later buses while expanding and enhancing TheRide. A regular fixed route service will start to become more accessible, which will allow better integration with TheRide. We will be laying the groundwork for future stages while we increase off-peak service. We will also be starting the design work on the new garage for the larger bus fleet that will be needed, and for the implementation of bus rapid transit and transit priority features. Starting in 2029, the second phase of the plan includes significant increases in services with an expanded bus fleet. That will mean increased service in both peak and off-peak service. We eventually plan to build a full bus rapid transit line in Washtenaw Avenue, but that will take time to plan and construct. Between the years of 2029 to 2033, we will enhance the express service on Washtenaw Avenue with better stops, queue jump lanes, transit priority features all along the route and throughout central Ann Arbor. We will also introduce an express route on the north-south corridor from Briarwood Mall all the way to the Plymouth Road Park and Ride, and create priority service on the main Plymouth and Packard-Ellsworth corridors. In this stage, we will construct the bus garage that we were designing in Phase 1. We will improve evening service and offer a 30-minute minimum frequency at all times of day, 7 days a week. We will construct a new transit hub near Briarwood Mall and modernize our fare collection system. And of course, we will continue to invest in TheRide to improve our service delivery for people with disabilities. From the years 2034 to 2038, larger improvements will be made to the backbone of the network. That means that a full bus rapid transit on Washtenaw Avenue and a north-south bus rapid transit light from Briarwood Mall to the Plymouth Park and Ride, and a new express route on I-94 and a priority route on Packard-Eisenhower. These upgrades will be coupled with transit priority enhancements across the service area. 2 new transit hubs are planned at Carpenter-Ellsworth and Jackson-Maple. To help feed these higher-order services, we will add more high-frequency routes and expand and improve FlexRide. We will continue to invest in integrating TheRide in the fixed route network to provide seamless, accessible options for everyone. In our last stage, from 2039 to 2045, we will continue to upgrade the backbone of our network so that we can expand our high-frequency network farther and farther across the service area. That means a combination of full bus rapid transit and bus rapid transit light on the north-south corridor from Briarwood Mall to the Plymouth Park and Ride, and a bus rapid transit light extension on Huron-Jackson. We will build a new transit hub at Nixon and Plymouth. And by this time, we expect our fleet will be 100% zero emissions, creating an efficient, convenient, and clean way to get around. We expect to have regional fare payment system integration, so you can go farther more easily. And finally, TheRide will be fully integrated with our fixed route with new accessible facilities and vehicles. Okay, that was a lot of information. Let's summarize what we just talked about and then go over some of the costs. The TheRide 2045 draft plan will improve transit in a few key ways. It will mean an average of 39% faster service across the network, getting you to where you need to go faster. There will be an increase in off-peak services, resulting in a 30-minute minimum frequency on all routes at all times. On average, service will double near residents and increase by 74% near jobs. And we will continue to focus investments on innovation and modernization for all of our services. All of these changes will have real and measurable benefits for the whole community, not just customers. Our service enhancements will mean more equitable access to high-quality transportation for jobs, education, and housing. That gives more opportunities for those who need it most. More people using transit will mean more vibrant and walkable communities. Fewer cars on the road means less pollution and a healthier environment for everyone. And since transit is a more efficient way to move lots of people, it means a reduction in the overall cost of transportation to the community. And with fewer people driving, we will need less infrastructure dedicated to parking. And finally, it also means reduced traffic congestion for everyone. No one knows the future, so our plan gives us targets to reach while allowing us to be flexible as conditions and technologies change. This plan will have to be updated every 5 or 10 years. And as our services increase, the cost of providing that service increases too. The day-to-day costs like employee wages, fuel, bus maintenance, those are all called operating costs. Operating costs are paid from local property taxes, state and federal grants, and passenger fares. You can see in this chart how we expect our operating costs to grow by certain percentages over time. Now, capital costs refer to new projects like transit hubs and bus rapid transit improvements. We've talked a lot about new projects already, and here you can see how much we expect them to cost in each stage. Let's take a closer look at how our investments will go over the next 25-year life of the project. We expect to invest about $20 million into innovation and technology, about $45 million into new vehicles, $113 million on new facilities, $175 million on the exciting bus rapid transit system. We are also expecting to spend about $298 million on the state of good repair and vehicle replacements, which are the costs to replace vehicles once they are too old to operate, as well as keeping all of our facilities in good working condition. The funding for these investments will come from a few different sources. About 6% of the total will come from our own capital reserve. 47% of the funding will come from existing state and federal funding programs that are stable and can be relied on for long-term investments such as this. We anticipate about 31% of the funding will come from discretionary grant opportunities offered by state and federal partners specifically geared towards bus rapid transit and state of good repair. About 16% of the funding sources have not yet been identified. Now that may seem like a lot, but remember that over 25 years we expect new and different opportunities to become available on the municipal, state, and federal levels. Overall, this financial plan is achievable, but also flexible should any surprises arise along the journey. That concludes our description of the plan. Now it's time for you to tell us what you think. Thank you very much for attending. For more information, visit TheRide.org. To provide feedback, take our online survey, or give comments by emailing us at 2045@theride.org. Call 734-794-1882, or mail us at the Ann Arbor Area Transportation Authority, care of The Ride 2045, 2700 South Industrial Highway, Ann Arbor, Michigan, 48104.